She is a blockchain startup entrepreneur and the corporate marketing officer for REITIUM. REITIUM offers fractional ownership of tangible real estate assets, enabling real estate for everyone. And she's an experienced marketer, a former journalist, and she's a Toronto transplant to Vancouver. Laura Fortey from REITIUM, under her stewardship as both the CMO and the COO of the company. She's grown it to 10 employees, maybe more now. We haven't updated. And so she's the artist and the operator at REITIUM and a seasoned entrepreneur. So welcome and thanks for making the time.
Thank you. That's awesome. Great intro.
So here's the thing. Homeowners, homebuyers, investors, we all want to find that perfect property to move into and to eventually sell for profit. And we want to make that purchase in a place with affordable, safe, quality homes, communities, and businesses. Why? So we can actually enjoy our lives, take vacations, and spend the quality time we want with the people we love. How do we do all this without risking a fortune and running ourselves ragged? That's the big question, and this show is dedicated to the answer.
So, Laura, you come from a real estate family. Is that true?
Yeah. So my dad was a realtor. My parents had a successful property management company as well. And going back before that, my granddad was a home builder. So I have like homes, real estate, property, all that totally in my blood. I've owned my own properties as well, investment properties, which I bought, sold, and flipped myself back in Ontario. And it just feels like real estate's in my blood. I understand it. I get it. I think almost everybody on the planet loves it and wants it. But yeah.
So I grew up with a mom who did a bit of real estate investing and speculating, that kind of thing. Not to the degree I think your parents are. What was it like for you growing up with parents, especially a dad who's a realtor?
Well, my mom's an artist and my dad was a realtor, so it was very unpredictable. So I feel like the instability of my finances when I was a child actually helped me be an entrepreneur. So my dad sold commercial properties, gas stations, plazas, a whole apartment buildings.
Cool.
So we would be like, poor for 2 years until a building would close, and then we would be rich, basically. So it was very up and down. And then I actually really liked my parents being entrepreneurs because they got to come to my track meets, my soccer games. When everybody else's parents were commuting to Toronto, I lived in the burbs about 30 minutes away. My parents were available and there all the time.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I know a little bit about the feast or famine of real estate. It's exciting and challenging all at once.
Yeah.
And so tell me a bit about so we know where you're from. What's your background educationally? You've done, as I said in the intro there, a bit of journalism, marketing.
Yeah.
You covered the Olympics here in Vancouver.
I did.
That must have been exciting.
It was amazing, yeah. So I went to Waterloo for my undergrad. I did business and psychology. And then I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. Classic, graduate story. So I traveled for a couple of years, went around the world, and then ended up moving abroad. So I moved to Australia, did my master's there in journalism, lived in Australia for 3 years, and then I moved to the UK, and I lived there for about 5 or 6 years as well. So in that time, I came back to Vancouver. I was hired by a newspaper, and I covered the Olympics here. And then I was living in England during 2012 Olympics in London, so I covered that one as well. So
who did it better?
I don't know. Summer and winter, that's hard. I love Summer Olympics better, but Canada versus the UK, I gotta say my heart's over here.
Good answer.
It was just really fun. It was like the atmosphere, the energy, like being able to experience both of them from both sides as a spectator and then behind the lens as well. It was very, very special.
Quite the journey. So
yeah.
From the journalism, you shifted into marketing. And I think that's probably had a big impact on your current business. What kind of marketing were you involved with?
So before I was actually a journalist, I had a small business when I was in school in Australia. It was a small training business. And then my partner at the time and I, we actually built a business online because we wanted to live and work all over the world kind of thing. Basically, when internet marketing and digital marketing started, social media was brand new. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter back in 2007-8.
Yeah.
And I was thinking man, wouldn't it be cool if I could just sell stuff online and then live all over the world? So we created a life where we could do that.
Wow.
So we were in the digital marketing, internet marketing from the beginning. We sold information products for sports, and then traveled around, and then sort of on the side I did journalism. But it was bad timing for me because a lot of newspapers were closing. Right. Everybody now became a journalist with everybody became a blogger and social media. All that didn't exist before I went into that. So when I came back to North America, Australia is far behind. When I came back here, I was like, oh man, everybody has a smartphone thing. What's that? And all the newspapers were closing and social media. It was a totally different life at that moment. So,
sounds like you're ahead of the curve on a lot of this stuff. I mean, and you rolled in on the scooter today, high-powered. What is it? The 9-bot? Is that what that says?
Yeah, Segway 9-bot.
That thing is badass. I want one. We'll have to talk about that after.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So let's get into the REITIUM thing. Where did this? How did you hatch this idea? And how did you really meet the co-founders that you're now traveling the world with, spreading the gospel of blockchain real estate? And what does that even mean, a blockchain real estate company, fractionalized ownership? It took me a minute. You had to explain it to me all those months ago. So maybe can you give us the Coles notes?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll start with how we met the founders.
Yeah.
So I was friends with both of them. When I first moved to Vancouver 3.5 years ago, I met one of them just at a party. We bonded over real estate. He's a realtor. His name's Thomas. And then I met Michael a few months later, again, just at a networking event, actually. And we just bonded over being startup founders. So the three of us actually started developing an idea that we had about creating a travel app because we all love to travel.
Right.
And so we started in our spare time with our own spare money. We put investment into building a travel app. So we would meet, once a week, in our spare time, and hash it out and work on things. And we had people helping us develop it. And then about 8 months later, one day Michael and I were at an event, and we decided to go into the hackathon that was in the basement of the event. So we walked downstairs, and it was the title was Real World Use Cases for Blockchain. So this is 2 years ago now. So blockchain was becoming a normal word in people's language, and everybody saw the excitement with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and so put blockchain on the map basically. So we're okay, so we decided to enter into this hackathon, and our idea was putting title deeds on the blockchain especially for developing countries, to make sure that their property didn't get sold a few times over, and that kind of thing, that people didn't get screwed over basically. So we ended up winning the hackathon basically, and we were so excited. We came to our other friend Thomas with the idea, we just won this hackathon, blah blah blah. And then as a realtor, from his mindset, he's okay, well, it's a great idea using blockchain in real estate, but title deeds and governments and doing all that kind of stuff is a little bit slower, so why don't we do something that's already in existence, but take it down to more of a crowdfunding level? So we looked at different REIT models and different real estate fund models, and then we decided to do it on a smaller level where people can invest as little as $100.
Okay.
So right now, when it comes to private REITs, which is a real estate investment trust or a fund, usually the buy-in is quite high. The barriers to entry are still difficult for most people, and that's just because it costs a lot of money to get in. A lot of people don't understand it. People don't know how to get in, especially if it's the stocks or the private market. So we came up with a way that people could actually invest at a low number, and we use blockchain on the background. So blockchain is a technology that things can be built upon. So Bitcoin is built upon blockchain technology to facilitate a trustless system, a seamless trade, that kind of thing. So we use it for data storage and for the trade as well. So we have nothing to do with cryptocurrency. We use the technology on the background to facilitate our smart contracts and cut down the costs and the fees.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's a lot, yeah.
But really fascinating.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you've had made such a splash in the last year or two with this startup. So just based on social media and us kind of following each other, I've seen you traveling the world. Where have you taken this? How many world conferences? How's it been?
I think we're at number 40 conference-wise. We started traveling.
Good thing you like traveling.
I love traveling. Yes, it's ironic because we set out to build the travel app, and then we ended up traveling with this company, so it's a little bit ironic. But we started traveling last January, and then we've been to about 40 conferences now. I think the farthest we went with it is Kenya. I guess would be the farthest. We've been to Malta, we've been to Europe, we've been to Africa, we've been to Asia. I think every continent except for South America and Australia. We haven't been there yet with the company. So, yeah.
So last time we really had a chat, I think even maybe it was the first time we had a coffee. It was around the time we were getting ready to launch. Was it the app or getting ready to buy your first property?
Yeah.
Has that happened now? Where are we at with, have you acquired some properties?
So, the regulation in Canada...
in Canada or abroad?
Well, the regulation in Canada specifically, and abroad for that matter, doesn't fully understand blockchain yet. So we're working with the regulators. In terms of our app is launched, and in terms of the first properties, we partnered with someone to host their properties. Okay. So we're actually selling their deals. They're using our technology on a white label site, so they're using our platform to put their deals through, and we're able to sell their deals through that as a result.
You're gonna have to tell me what does that mean on a white label side?
So white label is when someone uses your technology with their branding.
Okay.
Yeah. So, an example might be like WordPress, for instance. If you pay WordPress $9 a year, whatever it is, you can then make your own website, build it on WordPress, and it's now joshkepke.com instead of wordpress.com, right?
.ca, but I get it.
Okay. So it's something that it doesn't look to the end user like they're using your platform necessarily.
Right.
So it helps the client because on the background we're facilitating the technology and we're helping them become more organized and streamlining their trades. But on the front end, all their customers still see their branding, they still trust it. It's not like we've just come in and put our branding on everything. So it's more of a seamless transaction for them then. So it just makes more sense at this time to use the white label option first. So we had customers approaching us, and we have more customers coming to us right now, so we decided to focus on that.
Yeah.
In terms of bringing our own first property on, we're still working with the regulation side, so
that's gotta be
they're a little bit slower than technology. So
you can't sort of just move on it like an Uber or somebody and make it happen.
Yeah, Uber is still having problems.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So
well, more important to get that long-term viability, I would imagine, than the short-term crash and burn and get a quick payoff.
And I mean, theoretically, we could have done things a lot quicker. We had buyout offers for our company already. We had people very interested, but we are in this for the long haul because we do want to democratize real estate and give everybody a chance to get in. Like, we're not in it just to have this company for 2 years and then leave. It's been 2 years now, and we feel like we're just getting started.
Yeah, you are. Say more about that, how everyone can get in. So I've got $1,000. I want to get into real estate. You just tell me I can get in for as little as $100.
Yeah.
What goes on with what happens when I give you that money?
Yeah, so you get to decide what you invest in, whether you want to invest in, let's say we have a single family condo on the property or on the platform, or if we have a fund, you get to decide which city you invest in and which property or which fund. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times when you decide to invest, you give someone your money basically, and they put it wherever they decide, and they diversify your portfolio based on how risky you want to be, let's say. With us, you get to choose. So if you want to invest in that condo in Vancouver, you can, and it's on our platform, then you can invest in that property.
Okay.
Yeah.
What happens? How long am I going to hold on to this? Is there a minimum? Would there be a minimum? I know it's a bit theoretical at the moment, but how would that work in practice? And what happens when I want to get out?
Well, for private placements, the minimum is a 1-year hold period according to the securities.
Okay.
But then in terms of, it's real estate. So you know real estate, like if you buy your house today and sell it in a year, are you really going to make that much
Not
money
at
based
all.
on fees and da, right?
Yeah.
So I have to reiterate that it is a real estate investment, and in my opinion, buy and hold is the golden way of real estate. Real estate, if we look historically, it continues to appreciate over time. Obviously, the market sees ups and downs, and then plateaus as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could theoretically get out anytime after 1 year, but we can't guarantee a secondary market, so
Sure.
you might have to find a buyer, just like your own home.
Ah, okay.
So that kind of thing. So it is an exchange is something we're looking at in the future, but it's not something that we're working on right now.
That's okay. It's early days. That's
Yeah,
very,
exactly.
Yeah.
But again, like it is real estate, and a lot of people just want to get in. They're not looking to liquidate. They're not worried about when's their investment going to come back to them. And if you're only putting in 100 or 1,000 or even 5,000 to some people isn't that much, do you really need to take that out within a few years? Then if you do, then you might not want to invest in something that is more of a long-term idea.
Okay. So now I've never asked you this before, but I'm wondering, in the context of concerns of money laundering and this kind of stuff, is that a risk factor that you as at REITIUM have to worry about and protect against? Is
Of
people
course.
trying to? So what does that look like?
Yeah, so when you upload your ID, we bring you through anti-money laundering and know your customer. The compliance level on our side is very high. So we use a third-party compliance partner as well,
Okay.
who's trusted, who uses everything from Interpol and beyond, with like all over the world. Basically, they're registered and that's their specialty. So we're very confident in using them as our compliance partner.
Okay.
But we do bring everybody through that process. You need to have government ID. You can't be a terrorist. You can't have laundered money. You have to be over a certain age. So all these things have to check out before you can even invest.
Right.
So you can have bad credit,
Yeah.
but if you have, let's say, $100 and you pass everything else, then you can still invest with us. So that's the issue a lot of young people are seeing nowadays, is they have crippling student debt, or they've made poor decisions. They get that MasterCard in their dorm room for the free, Vancouver
Get a
Canucks blanket or
Yeah.
whatever, right?
I got a blanket.
Right, exactly. So all of a sudden they have bad credit because they didn't know what they were getting into. So we're not trying to hoodwink anybody at all. We actually, it doesn't matter to us if you have bad credit. If you have the money to put in and from a legitimate means, it can't be any form of laundering, then you can invest with us. Yeah.
Terrific.
Yeah.
This is about as far as we've talked about REITIUM before. So what other things did you want to maybe share about it? What have we not covered? Where do you want to take this?
I think very quickly a lot of things are changing in every industry.
Yeah.
With regulation, like I said before, with the excitement of cryptocurrency, blockchain became normalized. Technology is moving literally faster than ever. It's hard to keep up. So as fast as we are putting things out, there's people ready to buy and ready to be there on the receiving end. Of course, we have competitors. It's a $270 trillion industry. If we didn't have competitors, that would be an issue. Very healthy competition, mostly in the States. And we're just super excited. And we really can't wait for the day when every single person is able to get in. And that's going to happen very soon. So we're very excited about that. And you know what? At the end of the day, it's about giving everybody the opportunity. I think gone are the days when people are just okay with being priced out and accepting that. You look at young people today and maybe they don't want to buy a car, but they do car sharing, or they do Uber, or they do Car2Go.
Yeah.
They think very differently than we do. They want to travel, but they also want to have investments.
Yeah.
So are they going to buy a house in the burbs and cut grass like our parents did? Probably not.
No time.
Right? No time, no desire. They want to travel. They want different things.
Yeah.
And they're not wrong for wanting those things, but we are able to facilitate all those things and more. So that's what we're really excited about, is letting everybody get in, crossing borders, letting people from Kenya invest in Vancouver. And Vancouverites, none of us are from here, pretty much. So investing back home, our home country, our home province, where we're from, but we don't want to live there. We want to live here. So that's what we're excited about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're so right when you say none of us are from here. I'm the exception to the rule. I'm actually from North Van, so I'd like to to make that claim and hold to it.
That's
I guess it's technically not Vancouver.
That's true.
Close enough. Tell me about your experience living here. How long has it been now? A year and a half, 2 years?
3.5.
3.5.
Yeah.
It just flies.
I moved here in May of 2016. One of the best decisions I've made in a long time.
It was a month after I got into real estate.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. It was such a good time. Like, I felt everybody in the city was excited and looking for different friends, and it's why I moved here from the UK. I was living there for a while,
Okay.
so I left Ontario about 2007 and 2008, and I didn't want to really move back there. Ontario's changed a lot since then in the last 12 years. Toronto has gotten it's actually amazing now. When I lived there 12 years ago, it didn't work for me.
Okay.
But that being said, technology and all these tech companies have evolved and have changed as well. Co-working spaces, all that, right?
Yeah.
So when I was an entrepreneur 12 years ago, living there, I was one of few. So now I'm just one of many, which is great. But I wouldn't move back there. I love Vancouver. It feels like home to me. I'm very outdoorsy. I love hiking, and I don't like snow and cold weather, and I have a Vespa, as we were talking about, and I cycle all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't mind the rain, but I don't like the deep cold snow. I'm over it.
Leave it on the mountains.
Where it belongs.
Yeah. Super cool.
Yeah.
So I'm guilty of not really ever spending any time in Toronto. I've passed through it, but what are some of the differences and similarities between Vancouver and Toronto? What I kind of tell people, just based on what I've heard, is in Toronto you brag about how much you work, in Vancouver you brag about how much you don't work. Is that hold true?
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah. Toronto to me feels very American. And those things I miss about Toronto, like the sports teams. Like, I miss watching my baseball, my basketball, like, not a huge hockey fan on either province, but I really miss that energetic feel. I think it's the 5th largest city in North America, but it feels like a small Chicago or a small New York, and it does have that buzz about it. Whereas Vancouver, to me, feels very Canadian. It's it's a lot slower. It's a lot more work-life balance. A lot of nature.
West Coast.
Yeah, it just if I was not from Canada and I thought of a Canadian city, I would think that this would be the epitome of a Canadian city, not Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah, so to me, Toronto is like a small American city. But I do miss a lot of things about it, definitely. But happy here.
But you still go back to visit, right?
I'm going back next week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I'm going back for Thanksgiving.
Fantastic.
See the family.
Well, I think maybe that's a good place to leave it off.
Yeah.
I'm glad you found Vancouver to be very welcoming. Where have you kind of settled where's your home in Vancouver?
I lived in Mount Pleasant, so my boyfriend owns a place there, which we lived in for a while, and now we're in Kitts. So view of the ocean, mountains, it's spectacular.
That's tremendous.
Yeah.
Well, once you get married and you have kids, then you move to Deep Cove, and I'd be happy to help you find a great place there. That's where I grew up, waterfront houses.
Yeah. I love Deep Cove. It feels like I'm living in a cottage when I'm over there.
That's my dream.
That's awesome.
Back to the waterfront Deep Cove.
Yeah, nice.
Well, thanks so much for making the time.
Thank you.
And
Vancouver Real Estate Today explores the art of living through genuine storytelling and localized expertise. If you enjoy what we do here, do us a favor and write us a review, and visit us at vancouverrealestatetoday.ca and discover the home that lets you express and live who you are.